You're the first person that I've ever been with that I'm like scared of. And I mean that in a really respectful way. I'm like
You're
if
not
Randa's
really scared of me.
I'm scared of you.
There has got to be more than this.
Welcome to the Morse Code Podcast, where we talk with entrepreneurially minded creatives in music, film, and writing. My name is Corby, and I'm hoping these conversations inspire you to push deeper into your own work, whether you're a full-time professional or just starting out on your own creative odyssey. I wanted to do something special for Valentine's Day, but before I get to our guests, we have an exciting announcement, which is that the Morse Code Podcast is having its first ever live show to celebrate 6 months of continuous weekly episodes. That's happening Sunday, April 14th at the 5 Spot in East Nashville. It'll feature performances with Morse Code past and future guests and a lot more. Still putting together a plan, and the details are coming soon. Okay, well, I'm really excited to share this conversation with actor, producer, casting director, and my partner in life and creativity, Randa Newman. Besides appearing on NBC's Young Rock and CW's Walker, Randa's produced several narrative projects, including the Morse Code pilot, for which this podcast is named. This is an unusually personal conversation, the kind possible only with people who know each other really well. We talk about the experience of working together on projects, how hard it is for both of us to maintain boundaries, as well as the rewarding feeling of having a shared experience, whether or not it's good or bad. We discuss the importance of having fun and making art that isn't necessarily, productive. In the second half of our podcast, we share our experiences and perspectives on our journey of family building, which is the realest thing I've ever been part of. Finally, in the spirit of music for the sheer joy of it, we play a song together, an old Lefty Frizzell tune called Long Black Veil. If you get something out of the Morse Code Podcast, please take a second to like and subscribe. It really does help. And now here's my conversation with Randa Newman. Randa Newman.
Yes.
Thanks for making some time to talk with us here. And I thought that we would talk about what it's like to work together creatively and juggle, our dreams and our realities. Our dreams of, Morse code, of Ruby, of our future unknown projects together, and our family dreams too. Those things are often, they don't have the same schedule, I think, that we've found. So yeah, I'm just really excited to talk with you about this stuff, because I think it'll be interesting to people who work together and also who wonder what that reality is like.
Yes. We threaten to get a divorce every
once
a week.
I mean, I've never threatened, just for the record. But we did run into some early tumultuous waters during the filming of Morse Code.
Yes, we did. 6 months into our marriage.
6 months into our marriage, we just charged right into the biggest project of our lives.
Yes.
Still ongoing.
Yes.
But I will say that I have felt forever indebted to you for taking on the project.
We'll get used to it.
Well, just to catch people up, we raised the money to film Morse Code, this pilot that we shot in February of 22, and we had been sitting on this money for months and months and months, and there was an effort to get more money. You can always get more money to make movies. It's amazing how quickly money goes. And when that didn't prove fruitful of an effort, it was just kind of like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And at that time, we had been married for like 3 months, and I was having a pretty rough time. I remember
lots of sweat. Lots of sweating in the bed.
Lots of bed sweating.
No sleeping.
Wow, we are really letting people in, aren't we? Okay.
I was just agreeing with you that you were having a rough time.
You were adding some colorful detail
Yes,
too,
yes.
which I'm sure everyone appreciates.
We always get the male perspective. We female perspective.
It's time for the female perspective, guys. So I was having a rough time because it was just I felt like the project was stalled after all these years, and why. And you were just you were busy with your own stuff, and I just remember being like, do you want me to produce it? Would that be helpful to you? Would that shut you up? And I was like, really? And I was very grateful, and I was really excited about the prospect, even though I didn't know what that would look like. I just knew how capable you are and how great you are at everything.
Thank you. Even though I'd never produced a project.
You're great at everything, but you're smart. You're the smartest person in the room, probably even right now at this moment, very likely. And in most rooms, I don't want to drag Kyle into this. This is, poor fella's been through enough with this whole thing. But you're also, you write a really unusual line between being very capable and very conscientious, I guess I would say. Like everything you take on, you want to do an excellent job, and you do an excellent job. And so, and I have had witnessed that firsthand, even up to that moment. So when you did jump on, I was like, I think that we're going to be okay. And it was actually all the pre-production was, to me, so fun, even though it was a lot of moving parts and so many uncertainties. But maybe you can talk a little bit about the casting process and what you anticipated going into it and the reality of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I agree. And also we were all doing something. Well, maybe Trav, he's kind of, he was more experienced than us and had done this before, but we were all doing something scary that we'd never done before, which I love uncharted territory.
Yes, you do.
But as far as the casting goes, we're used to whatever Actors Access from the actor's side of things. You get an audition, you get an EcoCast, and you submit it. But from the casting director side, or casting associate, whatever, you have to go through like an hour training. You sat on the training with me, and then learn how to use it, and then you're able to use the platform to request actors through agents and managers in different regions of the country. If
I might just catch some of the uninitiated up on what we're talking about, there's a platform called Actors Access that the industry uses. There's another one too, but this is probably the most commonly used one.
There's more than two. Yeah, there's a bunch.
There's only two that I know.
Actors Access. Breakdown services, yeah.
Breakdown services. And we use this all the time as actors. If you have, your agent will submit you on a project, and then if the casting people, director, etc., want to see you read for that role, then they request you to that agent. Your agent forwards you the audition, and then you do the audition through self-tape. A lot of times these days, callbacks might be in person, might not be, whatever, but that is all done through a platform called Breakdown Services, which is also known as Actors Access to the actors side of it. But there's this whole other backside of it that is what the casting directors and their team use.
How did you hear that?
We'll just edit out that burp.
Okay, edit it out.
This is real. People get the real stuff.
I forgot that mics are so sensitive.
So the honey.
Breakdown services.
Breakdown services. Okay, yeah. So for this project, you were a casting. You were and are a casting director, but you had to create a profile. You had to create like an entity as a casting director, and then go through. There's actually a little training session they get you up to snuff on, because it's not complicated exactly, but there's a lot to navigate to the uninitiated on that back end. So you did all of that stuff. I remember we were on a work trip for you, and in a hotel room we were like, we were in
Miami.
We were in Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember Miami. We got in that big fight that one night.
Had a huge fight. Anyway.
What else is new?
Anyway.
Okay, so you were just talking about you got initiated and you were a casting director, and then I just remember working together with you on that, because I had to create the roles, the descriptions for each of the roles,
the breakdowns for the characters.
And I just, from the get-go, I immediately have this emotional feeling of gratitude, because like it's hard enough to write and stuff. That's like one, you're right-brained, whatever. But to add to that, like putting in things into the right places, I just remember being so grateful. You're like, here, write these 6 character descriptions, send them to me. And it was just like, oh my God, I can do. So you created all of those, and then maybe you could talk a little bit about that process or what it was like. And
yeah, you create the breakdown, and it goes out to agents and managers, and then they submit people who they feel like on their roster might fit that role. And sometimes, I think we got like 500 submissions in the Southeast, which is so cool. Like I wasn't expecting that many submissions, but
it was fun.
Yeah, it was exciting. But because we were paying a lot. No,
we were not.
And we got to see a lot of actors, or in my opinion, got to see a lot of actors read for these roles, and like I had never seen their work before, and got to see that, which was fun and exciting. And also in my mind, I was like, oh, this person, I'm definitely thinking of them in the future. They might not be right for this role, but I'm thinking of them in the future because they might be great for another role.
And wasn't it just awesome to, as an actor, to realize, like, to work at it from the other side and see that in reality, just like exactly what you said. You saw these actors, and this person might not be a great fit for this role or this project, but you're like, they're interesting.
Yeah.
And you file that away.
Yeah. And from the actor side too, like, you really need a slate shot.
I was going to bring that up.
I mean, like, our agent, we love her. And she's always like, you really need a slate shot. And we're like, okay, but you really do. You need a slate shot, and you need great headshots that stand out and really represent what you look like. Because, you would, even looking at somebody off of their headshot, and then you'd see their audition, and like, that they don't look like that anymore. And it feels like deception.
Got to have a current headshot, and then the slate shot too for the uninitiated. Not to get too inside baseball on it, but on that platform, probably all of them, but on Actors Access, as a casting director, you see the headshot of the prospective actor, and then if they have a slate shot, it's just like a highlighted little button, and you can click it, and all of that is a 3 to 5 second video clip of that actor introducing themselves.
Saying their name.
And that's usually
you get so much out of those
it's
few seconds.
Unbelievable.
Someone's voice, their posture, how they hold themselves.
Totally. How they do that. The timbre of their voice, high, low. But it's all these things you can't even put into words. Yeah. Like the present. It's so helpful as a casting director.
Sometimes we would be like, well, we're not going to pick them to read because they don't have a slate shot.
We did do that a few times because there were so many people with slate shots. And you also find that, my experience, you just can't take everybody, because you realize the more people you accept to read, they're going to submit tapes. They're going to work hard on these tapes, and you should, you're going to watch them. And we're just a crew of 2 at that time, and a 3 with director Travis Nicholson. And so we were reviewing all of these. So we got, we had to be picky, but we still, had, after those headshots, how many do you think actors actually submitted? North of 100.
Yeah. And it was so fun to watch the tapes.
It was so fun.
We went to Travis Nicholson, the director, to his house on the big screen, watched the tapes. It was so challenging they were so good. A lot of them were so great. Good. Yeah. And it was hard to feel like who would be right for the role. But not only that, you guys wrote in a family. So 2 sisters and a daughter and a husband, and they all have to kind of look similarly. So that all of those things that you don't really think about play into how you cast a project too. And
you were running that show, and it's a really creative process. I just saw relatedly that the Academy just added an Oscar for best casting.
Really?
Yeah, it's brand new. It's like starting in 2026 or something. And that makes so much sense because it's such a powerful hugely important part of the job. And if
Mm-hmm.
the casting is great, God, it's so fun. That project is so fun.
It's so fun to find the right people to work with the team, to find the right people for the right roles that can bring this story to life. I think it's really important. The actor is so important and vital to the story. And I think that
And the interaction between each actor, like
the
one
chemistry.
different person changes everything, because everybody behaves slightly different. Or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we know as actors in a scene, you act differently with different people, even in the context of the scene, their energy or it's all very subtle art. So
yes, it's also very administrative too, and a lot of logistic, like scheduling, but
communicating, all
Yes.
of that stuff, keeping track
Yes.
of and that breakdown services, not to get too inside baseball again, but does make that nice. It's pretty tidy to maintain all of that information, and good job on that program, whoever did that. Okay, so we cast the project.
Yes.
We've got our actors now, and this is a minute ago. Time flies. This is like
2 years ago.
3
now.
projects ago now, but I still remember all of it pretty vividly. The read through, we had a read through with all of the actors, and that was fun because it was the first time everybody was in the same room, so everybody got to meet everybody, and then after that it was just like charge right into this shooting schedule. And so we did like 7 days. Was it 6 days?
7 in a pickup.
7 in a pickup, and we had been scouting locations, and we were pretty ambitious and we got some great locations because of connections Trav had, or I had, or you had. And we had to rent, part of the budget was in renting some of those spots. And throughout all of this too,
We were insane.
we were insane. I mean, we were insane both in our ambition, I think, and a little insane in the execution. Like, we're so proud of us. And again, babe, you, because this with money, and it's so hard. And now, having been involved in a lot of projects, I see it done not so great, and not so tight. But there's with every project, there's thousands of dollars involved, if not millions. But
I feel like you're going to tell the ice cream cone story.
no, I will. I was about to, but
Well, also, let me just say this. Like, I don't even know what my role was. Producer, UPN, whatever you want to call it.
you had 6
I-
titles.
Looking back, I would do so many things differently, which I think I did on whatever our next production was, differently and better. I learned so much trying to execute this thing, like bring it to fruition. And that's all I'll say. Is that
What would you do? What's one thing that you would do different?
Well, I was very, very stressed. One thing I would do different is if there wasn't budget for me to work plus pay someone, I would just pay someone to do. If it's a passion project, a project that we really want to do, I would take that away and hire someone to help, because I think that's so important. Because I feel like I took on a lot of tasks and responsibility when it could have been a bit less stressful for me.
A bit more delegation would have.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
But it's because at the end of the day, it's like we're making a movie. It's supposed to be fun and exciting, and not about to have an anxiety attack every day. So
Yeah. Maybe this is a good time to bring up the ice cream story. So I learned a lot too. And one of the things is that I don't know if I'm ever going to produce a project that I'm acting in, because I was hyper aware at all times of the clock, because time is so valuable on set, and we only have your shooting schedule. Our shooting schedule was ambitious, to say the least. That's another thing that you buy with money is time. You buy time to set shots up and to have takes and to
For
have
actors
rentals
and-
for actors. It's just like time is probably the number one thing. A number one among many number one things. But so we were shooting, I don't know, 6 pages a day, 9 pages a day. Sometimes it was ambitious. And so there wasn't a lot of time for the setups, and then there wasn't a lot of time for the executions. And the thing about creatives is that they'll take every dollar and every second that they can, and then a little bit more. And so there's this built-in tension between the reality of what our resources are and our time. And that's usually handled by the production manager, and then what the creative person wants to have, and to their credit, to the creative's credit, it's like there's so much motivation to shoot as much as possible because you can't edit what you don't have, and you want to have as much to shoot from as you can. I understand that. And I also understand, like, we got this much time, we lose the kids at 6, we can't there are limits. There's weather limits.
Justin was running around going, pumpkin, like because of the kids, like, because you lose the kids.
Oh, pumpkin. Like, yeah, I learned some terms. Yeah, pumpkin. Kids turn into pumpkins. Oh, he turns into a pumpkin at 6, and you're like, what? Oh, we lose the kids. They have to go home.
Okay. So yes, I agree. But also,
we didn't know
it was a unique situation. We were going forward. We're gonna do better. That's all.
Yeah. But let's tell the story of day 2 of the shoot, which nicely illustrates that tension, I think, in a nutshell. And some of the wild exchanges that can come of it.
Was this day 2 or was it day 1? Day 1 or 2. It was either day 1 or day 2.
Yeah. In any case, to set the stage, okay, so we shot this at Sip Cafe in East Nashville under dubious circumstances, which were Travis and I had been trying to get Sip to let us shoot there for weeks. And because it was an East Nashville place, it had a great set. Also, it was during COVID, so they didn't have their dining room open, which was kind of ideal because we could maybe potentially film there. And we went back and forth with management, and the guy only answers emails once a week, and we finally got him to let us do it. We paid him money, and they're like, cool. And this is the day we're going to arrive here. We'll be done by such and such a time. And the manager on duty, I don't know, I think as you kind of do sometimes, you sort of undersell what you're bringing. And so we showed up.
We're doing a student film.
It's just a little project. And so we show up with trucks, about 20 crew, actors, we had extras. I mean, we were in it to win it, and they had no idea. We just stormed the place at 7:00, and they were outraged from moment one. The manager on duty just could not wait for us to leave, was clearly not happy that we were there. So that's just a huge element of stress. And then
this is also, let's just say, no diss to Sip Cafe.
None at all. No, totally. That was on us.
Yeah.
And we were also just trying to get something done we were just trying to get something done. We were Werner Herzogging it.
So I may or may not have yelled at people over ice cream cones.
Also in the morning, somebody tested. You were so great about, we were a SAG operation, and so there was a little bit of protocol involved in that to maintain good standards. And you were so good about maintaining a COVID safe environment. So everybody was tested every morning. And what happens the second morning?
Someone tests positive for COVID.
Yep. And thank God it wasn't one of the immediate cast, because it would have shut down the whole deal.
Yes, it was very stressful. It was a member of the
supporting family.
Yeah. So
you isolated that problem. You handled it with decorum to spare, and but you were inside quite stressed. And then so we get to filming it, and there's this scene between me and the kid, and we're eating ice cream while we're talking. So there's multiple takes involved, so naturally multiple ice cream cones
continuity
involved for continuity. And so we would keep going and get more chocolate ice cream cones. And part of the deal with the SIP was we just paid for all of the ice cream that everybody ate. And they were, reasonably priced ice cream cones, maybe $3.50 or something a piece. But you were getting more and more sick of all of these takes and all of these ice cream cones. People just eating ice cream cones like they're growing on trees. And finally, you had enough, and you were like, "No more ice cream cones." With your
Okay.
like Randa stare of death.
Look, also, it was day 1 or 2, whatever, we can't remember. And I was like, how am I going to stretch this money for 7 more days? I have this little pile of money, contingency, that I need to make last. Who knows what's going to come up? Trav might be like, we need another light. And I'm like, there goes our entire contingency fee. So that was the part, because I had just not had a lot of experience managing like contingency and like planning for those things.
And the budget was so tight.
Yes.
I mean, it really was spending.
I mean, we
every-
were really down to pennies. I mean, we were down to pennies. We were down to dollars.
dollars for sure. I was about to say nickels. I'm like, no, we'll go a little bigger.
No, we really were down to dollars. And so when people would ask for money for something, it was like, man, you know, like, I don't know if we have it. So anyway,
So
then
yeah,
we got
you
in a
were-
big fight when your mic was hot and we didn't.
Oh yeah, we got in a fight. I was like, that was the one time where I was not professional on set with my producing partner, who just was at that moment my wife, and you were like, we need to talk. And I was so furious, and I also was totally aware that I was mic'd up, and I
You came
also
to me-
knew
no,
that
because
you were
came to
not.
me- You came to me and you were like, Abby is scared of you. I was like, Abby's not scared of me. You were like, everyone is.
Everyone is scared of me. Yeah, people. I think I don't know. I'm a little bit scared. I think that's kind of fair. I think I might stand by that statement.
Anyway,
So we went into a car and had it out, and I just was aware that the mic was hot the whole time. The poor sound guy is just sitting there listening to us
Tyler.
yell at each other.
I'm sure that he turned it off because
And if he didn't, we'll never know.
he's a great guy and he wouldn't do that.
Also, who would want to? It's not like anyone would be like, ooh,
Juicy.
juicy gossip between Randa and Robert.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we got through it.
We got through it. We didn't get a divorce. We cried every single night. At least I did.
You cried every
I
night,
cried
and then
every
I felt
night.
bad, and we were also so exhausted because there was no money, and so we're like cleaning up the lights, we're closing down venues that we'd done, we're making sure that everyone's cool, who at the various locations. We're making sure that the cast is cool, the crew is, and then you're writing the call sheet up for the next day when we get home after these like 14-hour days. It's usually like the middle of the night. Call times were often 6 a.m. or earlier.
Crazy.
It was so crazy. We get
I
home in
don't
like
think I
maybe
could do
3
it
hours.
again.
Yeah, I don't think so.
like
Well,
that.
again,
you know?
we wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
Like our next project, Save the Boy.
It was so
much
nice.
easier by comparison.
Yeah, we were able to pay people more. It was just so much better.
Yeah, we weren't trying to be quite so ambitious with the time and but whatever. I mean, it's like it was
We did
also
it.
like
Also, we have a great product out of it.
I'm so proud of us, and it was like a freaking adventure. You know,
Yeah.
we had it's how it is when you go on through hard things together. Is you're bonded. I mean, those folks, almost to a person, I just have so much gratitude for and love for, and people. My feeling, and maybe they were just pretending for my sake, but it felt like people wanted to be there. People were going the extra mile, and they weren't being paid. I mean, everybody got paid, but not a lot, and it was a true labor of love.
And I feel like in those situations, when you really are pushed to the max, people show you who they are, and you learn. For me, anyway, like I learned who I want on my set, who I want to work with again. I just remember it was one night we were filming back at the back house here, and one of the Jarrett, we had been working so hard. It was very cold, and
Oh my God, some
at
of
the
those
end
nights it
of the
was so
night,
cold.
he was just like showing someone who had lesser experience like how to do something after like when they were loading out, and I was just like, I mean, I cried, whatever, like because I was just like, what a
Yeah.
how you show up in those moments, I think is really important. It shows
It-
integrity and
Absolutely. How you show up in moments of trial really do reveal your character. Relatedly, in having gone through that, and we've talked about this a lot, because you continue to act and book stuff. You've booked cooler stuff than I have by a long shot. But I act a little bit too. I get out there, and it's really interesting to work on other sets, because every single set has its own personality, usually shaped by the top people. The people under the top people take cues from how the top people behave and their attitudes, and the top people are constantly showing the rest of the crew and cast how important this project is to them, and ultimately you're working for them. So but all of those people, and I was on set yesterday for a project. Every single person I encounter as an actor, I'm kind of like, would I work with this person again? We're always looking for people. And I'm always kind of like low key auditioning future collaboratives. And are you doing the same?
yeah.
Yeah. People don't know that. They should be nice to us. But it's really true, because especially at this level, we're not making a fortune on these projects or anything, but we're making things that are beautiful in the world.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I totally believe in what we're doing. And so if it's not fun to make those things, why do it? And it's already hard enough. And so you really want to be surrounded by people that you can not only count on, but that are just fun to be around. So we're learning on that one too, I think.
Yes. I think too, when you hire someone you make it very transparent, very clear, like this is what we have, and they agree to a certain rate or, circumstance, whatever it is, then that's kind of should be the end of it, right? Like then you still give 100%. This is from my perspective anyway. Like you still do your best and give 100%. Because the terms, and so
you made the agreement.
And so I think you notice whenever someone will half-ass something, because they're not maybe like getting paid their full rate. And I think too, it's like I understand that maybe producers don't have a great name sometimes, or want to keep money.
Somebody has to be the bad guy.
But I really don't do I don't think we do that. I'll show anybody our books from Morse Code. We got paid nothing, like very little. And even on our other projects, we didn't, we don't, it's not like we keep money and pay ourselves. I would love to be able to pay everyone their full rate.
100%. I mean, that's
actors,
one of my
crew, locations.
Maybe this is a little bit of a non sequitur, but one of the things that I've enjoyed about this kind of new era of like working in film for me, after having been an indie folk singer for so long, is that the overhead had to be of necessity very low for me to like make my way forward in the world. And so I had 0 employees basically ever. Sometimes I had a booking agent that got a commission or a manager, but by and large, like I couldn't afford to tour with a sideman but a few times. That's how big my capitalistically successful my enterprise got. And as I moved on and got my show even kind of like started to get created around my ability to pull off music by myself, because that's all I could afford. And being in the acting world and having an agent, I just remember the first time I booked something and my agent made money off of it. It was so gratifying. It was like so cool. And like one of the joys of it to me, and this is maybe like really naive, and some people are like out there like scoffing this, I don't know, but it's so cool to make money for people, and also have an enterprise that gives people jobs, like we were able to do on Morse Code. Even this project is like able to do that a little bit, and it's like that's really motivating to, I think, both of us. We talk about that.
That's on my 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Being able to pay people for something that they really love doing. 5 people. I would like to be able to employ, provide health insurance,
5 full-time people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my dream.
It'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, here's to that. I think that we're going to do that. We're about at the halfway mark, but we're going to play. I think that we're going to do something completely different. And maybe I could set this up by saying one of the things that I really like about life with you is not everything is, I feel like we don't work. I think we work all the time, but we play all the time too. And we do stuff that's not like for
work is play, kind of.
Work is play, but also like we do play stuff. And one of those things is like we play music together. Yeah. And I enjoy playing music a lot. And you also enjoy playing music a lot. And it's so fun. And I don't want this to come across wrongly, but it's really fulfilling and inspiring and just wholesome is the word, to live with somebody who is an amateur musician who plays music because they want to play music. Honey.
No.
I mean, like you practice the piano every day basically, and you play to play, and it makes me play to play too. It's really easy to be, when you're around professional musicians, to think of it as work, because it is work and it is pressure in that sense. So to be surrounded by that is really fun. And so I think as an example of that, we're going to play the one song we do.
Our
this
song.
is the Randa and Corby song.
Okay.
So wish us luck, everybody.
10 years ago, on a cold, dark night, someone was killed beneath the town hall lights. The few were at the scene, but they all agreed that the slayer who ran looked a lot like me. And the judge said, son, what is your alibi? If you were somewhere else, then you won't have to die. Well, I spoke not a word, though it meant my life, 'cause I was in the arms of my best friend's wife. She walks these hills in a long black veil, visits my grave when the night winds wail. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows for me.
This is all you.
Well, the gallows were close, and eternity knew. She stood in the crowd and shed not a tear. Ah, but sometimes at night, when the cold wind blows, the long black veil, as she cries, oh my bones. She walks these hills in a long black veil, visits my grave when the night winds wail. Nobody knows,
you hear my solo?
Smoking. I bet people wouldn't even be able to tell the difference between your solo and my solo.
Probably not.
I mean,
If they could, it's probably just because of the guitar. I've got the smaller one.
That's that
sound's a
ladylike
little
sound.
different,
Yeah. It was really fun though, and I'm glad it went as well as it did. Fingers crossed. Okay. Okay. So that's Morse code. Maybe we could talk about stickier stuff too, and I could say a vulnerable thing or two if I had to, which is that I notice that I'm a difficult person to be around in a lifetime situation.
Sometimes, yes.
And my parents have told me that. And I've also witnessed it. And I think that one of the things maybe about getting older that's good is you learn to mitigate some of that stuff, some of it. But there's still craziness that comes out. Mm-hmm. And so this is me being like thankful. And maybe also we could talk about the challenge of boundaries in our relationship, and how we've come across some of that stuff. Do you think that's a thing that we could? I don't even know if there's
I feel
words
like you're being
for it.
kind of vague. Maybe
Well,
just go in with an example. I don't.
I think that we've had arguments in the past or discussions that had some heat in them, where when I'm going through, I have basically a feeling of inadequacy, like in my life, and I kind of fight through that. Is it like, and some days I do better, and if I make something, then I feel good about myself, and if I don't make something, then I feel bad about myself. And some of the times it's like, fine, I can shake it off, go run for a run, whatever. But sometimes it's just like I can't, and it's like, and to quote you in one of those heated moments, like, you fill the room, which is like parentheses with gloom.
Well, you're like, this is not me imitating you, because we don't do that.
No, we don't do that. Okay.
Or the whole family can just feel it. Me, the cat, the dog, the plants. Everybody's like, oh, Corby's in a mood, like some kind of mood. And then I'll be like, honey, is everything okay? What's going on? And you're like, nothing. Nothing. It's fine.
Okay, well, there's just another side of that, though, too, is that, like, I don't, like, walk around stomping in the house or, like, being cross with people. I just go, because I'm, like, I feel like I'm polite. Even, that's a terrible word. Like, who wants to be polite in their marriage? But, like, sometimes you have to, sometimes manners are all you've got when you feel like the world's falling down around you, even though that's not really happening, but that you have a feeling. You can't get out of that feeling, but you're like, you don't want to drag the people around you down with you. And so you kind of have this little buffer space between your feeling and your interactions. But that in that buffer space, it's the air is cool, and I'm usually like a pretty warm and laughy person. We joke around a lot. And so whenever that's not happening, it's really obvious that something's wrong.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
I think too, we have different ways of, when I feel something, it's hard for me to hold it in. It's hard for me to just keep it in there and not say anything. No,
100%. I mean, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
But that's all opposite of you. I feel like when you feel something, you're more reserved about it and kind of hold it in. I feel like I have to pry it out of you sometimes.
I think that's fair.
And sometimes those two things don't go well.
You get frustrated with the prying thing for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's also this, okay, well, I'll say too, is that I
also wasn't saying that it was right of me to just blurt out how I feel all the time. Well, I don't think that that's the right way to do it.
Sure, and I don't think, I mean, it's just a different example of personality gone too far. Like mine goes too far, and I'm like, well, and you're just like, I want a divorce.
I don't.
You don't. Not
say, like,
regularly.
I want a divorce.
But like, we'll be in a fight and you're like, it's been said before. And I'm like, I know she doesn't really.
Okay, I maybe said that a couple of times.
That's all I'm going to go with. Two
But
times, I think.
I also, all of this IVF stuff has been really hard
Yes.
on me personally, and not hard on our marriage. It's just like brought stuff up.
It's I guess. Well, I wanted to say one more thing, and this is like, and then let's talk about that because that's a huge part of our life.
Yeah, right now,
especially even at this moment. But you're the first person that I've ever been with that I'm like scared of, and I mean that in a really respectful way. I'm like
You're
if
not
Randa's
really scared of me.
I am. No, I'm scared of you.
God.
Like if you're like in a mood, it's the same thing. Like it fills the house. There's no escaping it, and it has to be resolved, or else I can't go sit there and write or do anything really. And we got to figure this out. And that's an example of like I really respect you, and it's like I want you to be happy, but I'm also just like there's something even deeper than that in a way. It's just like if you're not happy, like something's wrong in the world, and like I usually have I'm at the bottom of that reason.
Make me sound like a diva.
Well, no, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
a diva you are not at all. You're like most grounded person I know.
I will say too, usually and this is probably true in a lot of people's relationships, usually when something is wrong, it's like it's not usually you. And like if it is, I usually just tell you, right? Like the other day, I remember I was just like in a mood and like just frustrated, but when I thought about it, it was really because I hadn't really done anything creatively, and I need that in my life, and like need to release something that's not so corporate. And I think I told you that that I was just feeling like restless, and that I needed to do something like do something creative, or like go scream or work out or something like that.
I was just also thinking about like today, and you were like, there's this other side thing I want to say too, is that you handle so many of the less sexy aspects of our work life and family life, i.e. the taxes and stuff like that. And that's something this is something that we don't ever even talk about. Maybe we have just a little bit, but I know that early on in our relationship, you were frustrated with me for not taking on those responsibilities. And my response was that I'm willing to take on those responsibilities, and I have, as a grown man who's had to do it himself one way or another for 40 years, can and do. I do function in the world, but your level of expectation of being on top of the game is so much higher than mine that I worry that I can't do it to your satisfaction. And I think that maybe time proved that out, or you're just like, yeah, he's a freaking idiot, I'm just gonna have to do it myself.
No, I don't think that.
But I
do have high expectations, and I don't know where that comes from. It's not like I grew up with that or anything. And yeah, I think I have learned that it's sometimes easier to just do it myself, because I'm gonna do it right.
You're gonna do it right.
But
and sometimes right means your way, and sometimes right means right.
Sometimes, yeah. And usually right means it's gonna save me time in the future. Like when we're setting up Morse Code Podcast, for example, like having everything set up properly from a business standpoint made the end of the year so much easier, or will make it so much easier for me and the accountant. And
I mean, that's one thing, and we've talked about this even the last few days, where I'm just like, you so good at that. And I've regretted whatever heel dragging I've done going into some of these things. Like when we started the Morse Code podcast, we were like, okay, this needs to have its own business entity. It needs to have its own bank account. It needs to have its own business license, IED, whatever.
EIN.
And you know, I was just like, oh, it's such a drag to do all of this stuff. We're going to get like, and then I'm going to have to keep track of all of this. And it's actually like, once you do it right from the beginning, it's as easy as just making sure you use that debit card for that expense. And then at the end of the year, it's just all laid out. It's unbelievable how much easier it is. And it's also, this is something that creatives don't talk about very much. And I understand to the extent that I understand it, which is that your ability to do creative work is truly directly connected to your ability to handle your business. And especially in enterprises like film, which are capital heavy and have a lot of moving parts, and you're contracting out independent workers on, you know, project by project basis, you cannot be in movies, even shorts, you can't pull them off without being organized and having someone on the team.
That's,
and I watch like in our film friends, the inability to negotiate that is paralyzing to the process, and people don't get stuff made. And the project, it's like you cannot get a movie made unless you have a fairly high degree of organization from somebody on the team. And so part of the thing that's so exciting about, you know, thinking about our future together in the creative space, and then we can button that up and move on to family stuff, is that the sky's the limit. It's like really, I think that Morse Code, when it sells, will be a wonderful return on the investment for our investors. It'll change our lives. But it also, even short of that, we've proved that we can make a really competitive product with an incredibly low budget. We can handle money well. Like you said, you'd show the Morse Code books to anybody. And that's just like, you know, it reminds me that every project that you do, and it doesn't even matter if it's your own project or you're acting in somebody else's thing or you're showing up for a co-write. It's really every experience that you have is an audition for the opportunity to do it again. And to the extent that you're, you know, a pleasant person to be around, and you have ideas that you can bring to the table, and you're just, you know, you're good at your job, then you're going to get to do it again and again. So it's I'm really excited about all of the projects to come. Because we can barely keep up.
I'm excited too. I mean, I'll say this one last thing about at the beginning of our relationship, it was intimidating to me that you're such a fantastic artist, and
honey,
like carry yourself with like, I wouldn't even say it's confidence, but like, I know you have your own insecurities and things, but, you know, you carry yourself with the confidence. And it's taken me a couple of years to really step into that and not make myself feel be small, so that others can feel better or bigger. And to stop worrying about how others perceive me and just live in my power, or you know what I mean?
I do, or I think I do. I would say one thing is that I hope that we all, you know, in every relationship, both parties bring something to the table in that relationship, whatever they bring, and to the extent that party, person one, what they bring is acceptable to person two, and the exchange is acceptable, then the relationship is happy. And it's when things are out of kilter, when somebody feels like the other person's not pulling their weight, or they're uninspiring or whatever, then there's problems. And there's many things, like I alluded to a second ago, of your ability to be so organized, and I'm not at that. And also, you know, I get to do the fun stuff a lot, and I'm really aware of the privilege that comes with that, both within our relationship and just in the world at large. It's like nobody gets to have. I have no problems. All of my problems are like 0.00001% of the world gets to even have a chance to have these problems. So
then go to sleep at night and stop sweating.
Yeah, 3:00 in the morning, it just looks a lot different. But what I hope that I bring to the table is this you're a really creative person. And not just in like the casting side of it or the acting side of it, but like you're writing your own project, Infertile Myrtle. And I hope that you feel not judged by me, and I hope that you feel that encouraged. That's what I want to say. And because I do want that. And like even the song that we just played, it's such a joy for me to like do that with you and have creativity in our family for its own sake.
Yeah. No, I feel encouraged by you. I also feel a little judged by you, to be honest. I mean, not in a bad way. Like I kind of want to be judged by you. I don't want you to just tell me that my play is good because I'm your wife. I want you to think it's good because it's fucking good.
Yeah.
And I can count on you to be honest with me about artistic things and artistic endeavors. So even in the audition process, you're like, that I don't believe you. If you're reading for me for an audition, you're like, that's just do it again.
But
you don't say it like that. But
if I do, you waste no time in letting me know that there is
that don't speak to me
way
that way.
to deliver things and a way not to. But I would also say, and that's a good one, because you absolutely direct, me and it's so amazing to have an acting partner for auditions. Mm-hmm. For one, it's really hard to have a reader on demand, basically. And so we have that, but also you're really good at it, and as an actor, you need to feel encouraged, especially in a self-tape. Like, was that any good at all? Mm-hmm. And to have somebody whose opinion you trust on the other side of the camera being like, yeah, but let's try to get, maybe this thing. And you're really good at that. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's talk about babies. I mean, this maybe will be in the thing and maybe it won't. So we'll just see where it goes.
Well, I mean, it's been such a long process and has been a huge part of at least my life. It feels like it's just been a huge cloud. I feel like Eeyore with a big fertility cloud over me, or infertility cloud, whatever you want to call it. And yes, I was thinking right before this, like our doctor called and
like right before
this. And I was like, am I going to be able to like do this thing? And of course I was like, yes, you will do it, because you can have both. You can have be working on a family and also
conquer
the world, talk about your work, etc. So here we are.
And we
just got news. Maybe we should say we just got news that the transfer that we were going to do at the end of the month has to be canceled.
Yes. And can I talk, can I set it up a little bit?
Yeah, we can talk. Maybe we can just say that this is kind of like my realm, right? Like,
for sure.
In December of 2022, we had an ectopic pregnancy that ruptured, and I had to have surgery, and I lost a fallopian tube. So after that, everything was great. Everything was fine. But we met with a fertility clinic to talk about our options for moving forward with having one fallopian tube, and also like my age and, the chances of having kids. Anyway, we ended up doing IVF last fall and did an egg retrieval maybe people know what this is, maybe they don't. But
well, because if there's dudes listening, I'll help them a little bit understand this stuff. So there's a couple of different ways that fertility can happen. The IVF one that we chose is where you will take the version of the IVF that we chose is they give the mother to be drugs to kind of increase the production of eggs. And that's a several week process. There's shots involved, daily shots that I had to give to my wife. And it's so weird because this stuff happens behind closed doors. Nobody ever knows. And you're like doing your normal thing in life. And meanwhile, at 7:00 on the dot, we're like having this little ritual, which I thought was actually kind of intimate and sweet. You have this process, and then you go and there's a harvesting of these eggs. You get however many you get. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 20. And you had 16, I want to say. A high number.
16.
And then so we took those. I had to go rub one out in a doctor's office. It was pretty fun.
Let's all feel bad for Corby because he had to go jack off into a cup, and I had to go through surgery and give myself shots for a week and a half.
Okay, well, I'm hyper aware of my contribution and how small it really was. So there's the little semen thing, and then they fertilize all of those eggs, and then they
kind of,
and then they're blastocysts at this point, right?
Well, there's different phase. Like, yes.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
This is for the dudes, the layman.
Yeah.
And so then they send the fertilized eggs off to see what's going to be viable, what's not.
Well, you have the option to do genetic testing or not, and so we decided yes because of my age. So,
okay.
Yes.
So then they came back and they're like, you have 4.
We have 4, and then one maybe.
One maybe. So I didn't even know about that maybe until recently.
Yeah.
So we had 4, and that means you kind of have 4 tries. These are fertilized embryos.
4 tries for 1 live birth.
Okay. And so we had an embryo transfer in January, just a few weeks ago. And that it's a lot. You go through, it's another round of shots with much larger needles. And it's more painful for Randa. Who knows? Maybe everybody's different, but I think your case was probably pretty typical.
They're intramuscular shots, and so it's like you get the sore.
You get sore, yeah. And so we were like at Sundance doing this, and like the bathrooms at parties. I mean, it was.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty funny. The guy was like pounding the Shabbat dinner. The guy's pounding on the door.
I just had this syringe in my purse, and I was like, "Excuse us, we have to go to the restroom."
A wild adventure. I mean, you had to give yourself a shot on the plane on the way home by yourself because I was on a different flight.
Yes.
So we go through all of that. Then we transfer the embryo, and it was a little emotional. It was like a little hope, and we found out a week and a half ago that it didn't take. So there's that sucks, and that sucks.
I mean, it more than sucks, Corby. It was like. Really hard for me. I mean, I wasn't saying like, yes, it sucks, but I feel like you're kind of talking about it a little bit nonchalantly, like, yeah, well, it sucks, but then we're going to try it again. But no, it was like kind of heartbreaking. Like I didn't expect to feel like that about, just like I'd had friends that it worked. And so we just assumed, I mean, I think we both assumed like it would work.
We always tend to assume the best.
Everything
really
looked
surprised.
great. Like as far as like my hormones go, my uterine lining, whatever is supposed to go, however it was supposed to be, it was that way. And then, yeah. And we transferred a girl or a female.
Yeah.
And that was like.
I don't want to know going for the next one.
I don't want to know either.
It was too hard to do that part.
It was so hard. I mean, yeah.
So we decided we're going to do it again at the next opportunity, and that was originally going to be in a few weeks.
End of the month, yeah.
And we found out just today, a second ago, that I actually didn't even know exactly the technical issue because I wasn't on that part of the call. But it's not an ideal situation to move forward, so we've got to do some more stuff to kind of prepare the bed, as it were. So there's a delay and it's all uncertain, and it's been a long journey. I'm actually not even very comfortable talking about it like now that we are.
I mean, yeah, it just feels like, well, I told you, I was like, maybe we'll have to cut this out because I feel a little emotional,
yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I don't know that I've ever really wanted something like, as bad as I want this. And yeah, it's just hard. I'm like, I would, like, if somebody at Sundance came to me and was like, here's $2 million to make Ruby, like, your feature film, I would be like, if I could have that or just, like, have a kid, like, I would say, like, keep your money, you know? So, maybe we need to, like,
Well, you've
take
come a
this
long
part
way
out.
since you were that hard-boiled 29-year-old that I met who never wanted to get married, never wanted to have kids.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm like, get nervous that, you know, what if we don't get to do that? And it feels like the most important thing to me.
It's the most important thing to me too, to be clear. If I had the choice between selling Morse code or having a healthy Zuzu, like, set me up. And, you know, I'll say that. And, I think that's partly because it's just so great. This is why this is the Valentine's episode, is that my life with you is so fantastic that I want to have more of it. And more of it to me means more babies and more family and a bigger, richer, crazier journey. And I have, you know, if there's a religious bone in my body, it's around that really acute desire. And it's so mysterious. This, you can be doing everything right. I know that when we first went to the fertility doctor and he's just talking about, you know, the process and the statistics around getting pregnant, even in the best of circumstances, I was just like, oh my God, it's just a miracle that anybody ever gets pregnant. So there's just a lot of things you can't control and mystery to it. And, you know, I don't know, God hides next to mystery, and I have every hope.
I love our doctor and I love our clinic and I trust them. And if he thinks that we should wait, then, you know, we wait, right? I mean, I think that he has our best interests in mind. And but it's just like, I'm so tired of waiting is the thing. I'm just like,
it's a long ass journey and people don't even
it's a long
know.
journey. It's also just like, I started a new job. We're trying to sell this show. I'm trying to write a play. We're making another movie. And then on top of it all, I'm just like shooting myself up with hormones and like going to these appointments, and nobody, you know, one of my friends who has a beautiful baby, after lots and lots of fertility treatment, she was just like, very few people like know what you're going through. And I think it's true. I mean, you kind of see it from the outside, but it's emotionally taxing, and it's also, I'm not like trying to feel sorry for myself, but it's emotional and it's also very physically taxing. I also realize that we're very lucky that we have the means to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Because not everybody does.
We're very lucky, and I want to be even luckier. Toots, thank you so much for letting this conversation go this deep, this hard. And I just want to say that I can't imagine doing my life with anyone but you. And I can't wait for this time next year when we're so irritated because we have no time anymore because we're too busy taking care of our kid. I love you. Happy Valentine's Day.
I love you. Happy Valentine's, and happy birthday to my mom.
And happy birthday to your mom.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video, or click here to watch a playlist featuring the songs of the Morse Code Podcast. Okay, thank you very much.